Hi, I'm Dave Kahle. Welcome to this Christian Business Insights podcast show where my goal is to provide you with practical, actionable ideas to help you create businesses and careers of excellence and at the same time multiply your influence for the kingdom. I have been a Christian in business for over 30 years, and I have personally and contractually consulted with over 500 different sales organizations. So in these podcasts, I combine the lessons that I have learned with an out-of-the-box experience and perspective on Christianity that you will find challenging. And we put that together to provide you with practical insights and ideas that you can use to live better and lead better. Welcome to the journey. Hi, this is Dave. Welcome to today's podcast show. We got a special guest today, Andee Hart. Did I say, is it Andy? Did I get that?
Andy, yes,
Andy.
Andy.
Okay, Andy. Yeah, with with an E or two E's,
With
Andy.
two E's.
Yeah.
Yes, it's
All
a little
right. All
different.
right. Well, Andy, it's really good to have you, and we're looking forward to what we can learn from you and your experience and so on. So you are a Christian. Tell us how about that. How did you become a Christian, and what does that mean to you right now as a person in business?
Yes, well, first, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to be here. And yes, I think that being a Christian in today's business world can be a gift, but it can also be a challenge as well.
Mm,
And so I became a Christian when I was in my teen years. I actually
hmm
had the blessing of growing up in a Christian household,
hmm
had a mother and a father that taught me about the Lord.
hmm
And I, was at church every Sunday and Wednesday, or, when they kind of
hmm
say
hmm
whenever the doors
hmm
are open. And I used to think, Dave, that that was kind of a boring
hmm
testimony, but I realize that there is no boring testimony when you have
mm
just the power of what the Lord has done in your life.
hmm
And I will tell you that, as I was mentioning just a little bit before we started recording, that my life looks so different than
mm
what I had planned out
mm
for my life. And the grace of that the Lord has showed me is that his plans are always better and more perfect.
mhm,
And not more perfect, they are perfect. And
mm
so when I became a believer and gave my life over to Christ, what I think I realized at the time is that I knew I could not do life on my own. And I knew that I had a Lord and Savior that had sacrificed his life for me.
mhm,
And that is powerful.
mm
That just putting it bluntly solves my greatest problem that I have here on earth.
mhm,
And what I have learned over my Christian walk is that I have encountered a lot of challenges and a lot of, um, you know, road bumps along the
mhm,
way.
mhm,
And the Lord has always graciously been there. And it has not always worked out the way that I wanted,
mhm,
the way that I planned.
mhm,
But I have learned the power of grace.
mm
And to me, what I have learned in studying the scriptures and reading the whole biblical narrative and really diving in and having friends that are, have other beliefs, other
mhm,
faiths, that the thing that I have come to the conclusion to, even just as I have matured in my faith, is that there is no other God
mm
that has given their life, their one
mhm,
and only Son,
mhm,
for me
mhm.
and paved a way
Yeah.
for me to have hope. And that is central to the Christian faith. And that is why I believe in Christ and that he is my Lord and Savior. And
mm
so I would just kind of sum all that up is that being a Christian is not easy. Certainly being a
mm
Christian in the business world is not easy, but it is absolutely the best decision I've ever made. And I cannot to this day get over, and I never want to get over this as long as I live,
mhm.
the fact that God gave up his son for me,
Yeah.
because I've never seen another religion or another um, God that
Mhm.
people have created in their
Sure.
faith have a plan like that that is so full of grace.
Yeah.
Grace. I
Good.
can't get
Yeah.
over it. I
Yeah.
can't get over it. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. It reminds me when I was interviewing for my first full-time professional sales position. Um, I mentioned in the interview that I was a Christian, and the guy was ready to hire me and didn't because of that. Now
Mm,
later he did, but that whole thing just I remember thinking this: being a Christian in sales in business
yes.
is going to be tricky. This is going to
Yeah.
be tricky. And of course that's true. So, well, I'm glad there's a meeting of the minds there. Well, so you have had a career in sales and now and then created a company. You're an entrepreneur. Tell us about that.
Yes. So during the pandemic, as I'm sure all of us were, at home and needed something to occupy our time a little bit more, I would finish up my day job in sales
Hmm.
and think, okay, I want something. I've always been creative. I want something to do. So I started making candles in my kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just a fun, kind of joke that it was my after work therapy.
Hmm.
But I would give them to friends and family, and people started saying, "We really love these candles. Why don't you start selling them?"
Hmm.
So one thing led to another, created a website, started selling them, and it really took off. And then I started wholesaling them and really had a
Mm.
goal to be in about four wholesale boutiques by the end of that year. And
Hmm.
I was actually in 120
Oh
within
my.
3 months. So it was, a lot of people are like, that's amazing, that's great. But it also presented it with a lot of challenges too,
Sure,
because I still had a
sure.
full-time day job.
Yeah,
So it has just continued to scale since then, and it has been what turned out to a humble hobby in my kitchen.
yeah,
Now have candles all over North America,
yeah,
which is really,
yeah.
really fun.
So you had unheard of growth, really unexpected growth.
Yeah,
What do you attribute that to?
a couple of things.
Okay.
One, I would say a lot of people are like, well, you've been in sales, so you know how to sell.
Hmm.
True, but I will tell you, I did not always know how to sell, and selling online is very different than
Hmm.
selling, in a boardroom
Sure.
face to face like I've always been used to.
Hmm.
And so what I would say, one of the biggest lessons that I have learned in sales is tenacity.
Hmm.
Tenacity, because you're not going to always get it right.
Hmm.
You're not going to always get it right, but the best salespeople, they don't give up.
Hmm.
And they learn from that and they
Hmm.
tweak their approach and they
Hmm.
continue to
Yeah.
put their products or their services out there.
Hmm.
And the thing that I have learned time and time again, whether I was selling computers in my early days of
Hmm.
sales or selling candles to retailers, is that I'm eventually going to hit that right
Hmm.
formula
Hmm.
of follow up and
Hmm.
articulating my value proposition
Hmm.
that I'm going to start to hear yeses.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would really attribute that to, is that tenacity of not giving up, not
Hmm.
taking the
Hmm.
no's personally,
Hmm.
and just continuing to refine my approach.
Interesting. So you have a candle business now, is that right? Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah.
still have
Okay.
the candle business, Heart Design Co.
Okay. And you also now are coaching other entrepreneurs. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is when I started my candle business, I was in several candle maker Facebook groups and would just, happily answer other people's questions. And I started realizing there's a lot of people that just, they don't know about wholesale. They are not comfortable with selling
Mm-hmm.
their products.
Mm-hmm.
And I am a sales nerd. I love it. I absolutely love it. And sales does not have to feel awkward or uncomfortable. And so I just decided to start teaching, using my skills and my gifts to start teaching other product entrepreneurs how to put their products out there and grow their businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it really started out that probably 95% of my business was candle makers and
Okay.
still have a lot of those, but is really ventured out into a lot of creative businesses that have hired me to teach them how to get their products on retailer shelves
Mm-hmm.
and how to sell their products with confidence. It doesn't have to feel awkward or icky.
So your sales are primarily through the internet and wholesale to the retail world, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So there's two different channels there, right?
hmm Correct. So I have my website that I
Hmm.
sell, and there's actually more than two channels because I did have a retail shop before I
Okay.
recently moved to
Okay.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
So I had a candle studio and retail shop. And when I first started, I also did, pop-up markets as well. And so sold online in my retail shop, brick and mortar, at pop-up markets. And then now I sell through wholesale.
Hmm.
So I'm, selling to boutiques and retailers who are then reselling my products directly to the end consumer.
Okay. And so when you say wholesale, you're talking about you are selling to the retailer,
Correct.
not to a wholesale distributor who in turn sells to retailers, who in turn sells to the end
Correct.
user. Yeah. Okay.
Correct. So I'm
Okay.
selling directly to the retailer.
So we want to learn a little bit about each of those. So tell us what did you do to be successful selling online? If you were to look back at it and say, these are a couple of lessons that I learned that I think can apply to other people, what would be the online
Oh, yeah.
selling lessons? Yeah.
Oh, great question. So, like I said earlier, it's very different than selling in person. And so, online, you really have to build that trust
Hmm.
in a different way. And so, I did this a couple of different ways. But the first thing that I will say that's really undervalued today
Hmm.
is the value of SEO and search
Hmm.
engine optimization. And
Hmm.
that's something that I really wish that I had started from the
Hmm.
early days of my website.
Hmm.
But I started that, and it's something that I am continually working on to optimize my website, so that I'm getting that organic traffic.
Hmm.
But the second thing is that I'm building an email list.
Okay.
And, everyone always talks about building your social following. And sure, I
Hmm.
have the social channels that I'm selling through,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that can go away,
Hmm.
as we all know, that can go
Hmm.
away, in the blink of an eye. So I really created a workflow that brought my customers onto my email list
Okay.
so that I can build trust
Hmm.
and, loyalty, a loyal customer base through my email list that I own. And
Hmm.
that's been one of my greatest ways to retain customers
Hmm.
that have started buying from me. So maybe they find me at a pop-up market, maybe
Hmm.
they found me at my retail shop, or
Hmm.
maybe they found me through, search engine optimization just on
Hmm.
A Google search.
Hmm.
But the goal is to get them onto my email list, and then I'm constantly nurturing them, building that
Hmm.
trust
Hmm.
via email, and that has been really, really successful for my direct to consumer sales.
So when you say building trust through email, what does that look like? I mean, are you sending them an email a week, or I mean, what does that look like?
When I first started, I would send more frequent emails probably than I do now.
Hmm.
But here's the thing that a lot of people get wrong when they're selling. What they do is they'll send emails and they'll talk about the features of their products.
Hmm.
Hey, I have a new candle and it's made out of soy wax
Hmm.
and it will burn for 60 hours,
Hmm.
what have you,
Hmm.
right? Instead of painting the picture or
Hmm.
maybe telling the story
Hmm.
about someone that gave their candle as
Hmm.
a gift,
Hmm.
as a housewarming gift, and the
Hmm.
joy that that candle
Hmm.
brought to a
Hmm.
new homeowner. You can
Hmm.
see the shift there. And then it gives my end consumer an idea of, oh, I can give these candles as gifts. No one really cares about how long it burns or
Right, right,
that it's
yeah,
made with soy wax, those
right.
features. And so, really shifting that to tell the joy
Hmm.
that my products bring and
Hmm.
the transformation that they bring to my customers
Hmm.
is really kind of building that trust and
Hmm.
just authenticity to it.
Hmm. So how often do you send emails today? I mean, get us
Oh,
into the nuts and bolts of this.
yes. So for my candle business, probably twice a month,
Okay.
not as often as my coaching business.
Okay.
So
Okay.
coaching business will be about 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay. Wow. Well, let's exhaust this issue of the other channels first. So
Sure.
you've got the website, and now you're selling also to retailers. That sounds to me to be a lot of trouble and a lot of work. Tell us about that.
Yes, it does sound like that, doesn't it? But here's where it comes in and really something that I teach that is so
Hmm.
important because there are times in your life where you really got to take a step back from your business, as I have just done for about the past 6 months.
Hmm.
In moving, I had a family member that lost a loved one. And so
Hmm.
just really having to take a step back from your business and breathe.
Hmm.
And God definitely calls us to rest
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
times.
Hmm.
And so, what I have done is, first off, if you want to talk about just the tactical pieces of it,
Yes. Hmm.
my email list, I have segmented out. So, I
Okay.
have two sales channels that I really focus on now, and I have simplified that.
Hmm.
When I moved, I shut down my brick and mortar. I no longer do pop-up markets because I don't have the time anymore.
Hmm.
So, my email list is segmented out. I have my retailers.
Hmm.
So if I'm going to send out a wholesale email, it is only
Hmm.
going to go to boutique owners.
Sure. Hmm.
If I'm going to send out a direct to consumer email, it's only going to go to my direct to consumer segment.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
very important to have that personalized and segmented
Hmm.
email
Hmm.
list for
Hmm.
your sales.
Hmm.
The second thing is that I have automated a
Hmm.
lot of my workflows. And
Okay.
nowadays you can do that very easily with a lot
Hmm.
of sales and marketing tools.
Hmm.
So I'll give you a specific example, Dave. Um, I have a wholesale marketplace that I sell through, and anyone that's a product maker that is interested in wholesale, they have probably heard of Fair Marketplace,
Okay.
Faire. It
Okay.
became very popular during the pandemic when people could
Hmm.
not go to Atlanta, Dallas, these big
Hmm.
trade shows. And so I have Fair Marketplace that is integrated with my
Hmm.
website.
Okay.
And so what I have done is created a whole workflow on the back end that all of my orders are centralized. So if a wholesale order comes in, I'm fulfilling them the same way
Hmm.
that I fulfill a direct to consumer order.
Hmm.
In addition, I have a nurture segment that I'm nurturing that retailer
Hmm.
to purchase from my website, my wholesale backend website directly,
Hmm.
because that means 0% commission,
Sure.
where
Sure.
Fair takes a big part of that sales commission. And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
that is all automated and
Hmm.
it's very successful. I don't have to touch that. I know that it's working well. It's a whole
Hmm.
workflow, but it also still keeps the personalized touch points with my
Hmm.
retailers.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so when we talk about, okay, that can be overwhelming that you're selling to both of those
Hmm.
channels. When you can use tools that automate and let you
Hmm.
step away and breathe,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's not so overwhelming anymore.
So how do you reach out, or do you reach out to a prospective retailer? I mean, do you reach out, or do you just wait for them to come to you through SEO and some other channels?
That's a great question. So I do a lot of of outreach, and I
Hmm.
did more at the very beginning. That's how I
Hmm.
grew so
Hmm.
quickly. But
Hmm.
I have a very streamlined process, and this was part of what I talked about early on is that tenacity. Because when I
Hmm.
first sent out my retailer outreach emails, I heard crickets and did not hear anything for several months.
Hmm.
And it was just that compound effort of tweaking my email and what I was saying
Hmm.
and also providing a hook, an incentive for those retailers to purchase from me.
Hmm.
So it could be 10% off your first order.
Hmm.
It could be free shipping on your first order, or it could
Hmm.
be buy three case packs and get a fourth
hmm
free. So
hmm
whatever, that looks like for the season, that really drives a lot of retailers. And when you're sending them personal emails
hmm
and connecting with them, I'll always do a little bit of research
hmm
and find something that I can connect with them on a
hmm
personal level.
hmm
And that usually will drive a lot of reaction
hmm
and, response.
hmm
And then I offer to send them a sample pitch package of my candles. And I get
hmm
about an 80% conversion when I send a pitch package. And not
hmm
many wholesale brands do that. So that's an important part of my sales process as well.
So a pitch package is a couple samples and maybe a price list, a catalog,
Yeah,
and reasons
absolutely.
to buy this one and what this one does and so on. And then I
Yes.
suppose an offer, an initial offer. Yeah.
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
always want
Mm-hmm.
to offer and
Mm-hmm.
invite the sale. And I always say assume the sale. I
Mm-hmm.
never want to say, let me know if you would like to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
I assume I look forward to working with you and
Mm-hmm.
partnering with XYZ Boutique, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I articulate how my candles would fit into their boutique, their aesthetic. And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe it's farmhouse decor.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will send them maybe a specific a full size one of my candles that
Mm-hmm.
fits their aesthetic
Mm-hmm.
and write a handwritten note in there.
Sure.
This is why I sent this to you and why I think it would fit well and address their number one concern because their number one concern is going to be, is this going to sell well?
Mm-hmm.
Is this going
Mm-hmm.
to sell well in
Sure.
my
Sure.
boutique?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's
Good.
had a very
Good.
successful conversion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's transition. So now you have transitioned, at least part of what you do,
Yes.
and you're working with other entrepreneurs, right? So t tell us about that.
Yes. So I just kind of somewhat by accident, but also just still wanting to use the gifts that God has given me in my sales coaching
Mm-hmm.
and leadership experience. And so just combined those two, all of that experience and the candle business,
Mm-hmm.
and am now teaching other product makers. So they don't necessarily have to be candle makers, although a lot of candle makers do
Mm-hmm.
work with me, but teaching them a lot of first, we do a lot of mindset work because
Mm-hmm.
in any industry, but especially the candle industry, if I had a dollar every time someone said the candle industry is saturated, but really changing that from a scarcity mentality to there is room for you, and how do you
Mm-hmm.
create your unique value proposition
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and put that out for retailers or for consumers to see and want
Mm-hmm.
to buy your products. And
Mm-hmm.
so helping them craft that
Mm-hmm.
for their unique niche
Mm-hmm.
and then helping them create an ecosystem that is really selling for them,
Mm-hmm.
whatever sales channels they are looking to focus on.
Yeah, interesting. So systems. So I'm a systems guy. The
Yeah.
name of my brand, by the way, is
Yes.
Kahle Sales Systems. And I just that's the way God made me, I think, in systems. So tell us about this concept of a system.
Yes. So when you have a system that is working for you, it should be automated. But I also believe that it should not lose the personal touch
Hmm.
because so often these days um, you can get a mass email or get an email and you feel like, okay, this is just not
Hmm.
personalized. It's
Hmm.
just generic.
Hmm.
And so I like to create a back-end workflow for my candle business that is still nurturing those
Hmm.
retailers and
Hmm.
without losing the personal touch. Because when you get several hundred retailers, the reality is there's no way that
Yeah.
I can personally reach out to all of them,
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I have integrated and my email platform, which I talked about is
Hmm.
important
Hmm.
from a sales perspective,
Hmm.
and the back end of my website,
Hmm.
which is easy on Shopify to set up a wholesale platform. They make
Okay.
that very easy for you and have
Okay.
apps. And I have set up a whole nurture sequence workflow that when they sign up, I have an application form
Hmm.
for my retailers,
Hmm.
and I've created a whole CRM database.
Hmm.
And so there's certain things that when you're working with retailers, you have to have like their tax information.
Hmm.
You don't charge them tax and things like
Right.
that. And so
Right.
I want to have all of that documented. And so they
Hmm.
fill out from the time they fill out an application to wholesale
Hmm.
Art Design Co. products
Hmm.
that is vetted
Hmm.
and stored in my backend database. And
Hmm.
an account is automatically created for them if they
Hmm.
have the right tax ID number.
Hmm.
And then they can log on and start shopping at the wholesale pricing, and they are going
Hmm.
to receive personalized nurture emails to incentivize them to continue to buy
Okay.
every 60 to 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
Personalized support. If they need support, they know who to reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that whole streamlined workflow that doesn't feel sticky. It makes the ordering process for them easy. I want them to feel like doing business is very easy with
Sure,
me.
sure. Well, it sounds like you got a couple really good things going.
Yeah.
How about a couple core lessons? If you were like, we've got people listening here who have businesses of various types. We have professionals and so on. So, what would be two or three core lessons that you would want people to embed into their lives and their businesses to grow their business and have a successful entity?
Yeah.
What would some of them be?
I love this question. First, and I will make this, it sounds very simple,
Mm-hmm.
but acting on it can be very challenging, but
Mm-hmm.
it will pay off in dividends. And this is, really just um, it's treat people the way that you would want to be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just delighting and surprising your customers from a
Mm-hmm.
customer experience
Mm-hmm.
standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime that is my end goal,
Mm-hmm.
when I have maybe a challenging customer or, a problem situation, but I seek first to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a lesson that one of my mentors from my corporate days, who's still a mentor to me, gave. Seek first to understand.
Let me just interrupt you there. Seek First
Yeah.
Understand is one of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And it
Yes,
says
I've
seek
read the
first
book.
to understand, and then be understood. Boy, that's a book. Gee, I mean, that must have come out in the 80s or 90s, something like that. Great book. If
Yes.
I'm sure it's not in print anymore, but there's got to be lots of versions out there. So, Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. Great book. I'm reminded of our web hosts. Where we the websites actually reside, and I pay probably 3 times the going rate for that. But the reason I do that is because they're just so incredibly good at service,
Yes.
whatever it is. And, I've got 3 websites. I'm going to have issues, and I would say that if it's not resolved within 6 hours, it would be a surprise. Usually
Yeah,
it's whatever it is. I mean, they're going to take care of it and they're going to let me know and it's going to be personal and I'm going to know their name and I just it's worth it. It's worth it to have that kind of
absolutely.
reassurance. Yeah. So back to lessons. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Bigger, tougher than it sounds. It could be huge,
Yes.
huge because it really does ebb and flow and seek and run into every aspect of the business. Seek first to understand and then be understood. How about one more? You got one more in that?
Oh, I have so many. I think if
Yeah,
I was
okay.
if I was narrowing it down, I would go back to what I was saying. Something I mentioned earlier is that tenacity. I
Mm,
was sitting when I first became self-employed about a year and a half ago. I was sitting across the table eating lunch from my older brother, who has been an entrepreneur since he
mm-hmm,
graduated college
mm-hmm,
and owns a successful construction company. And I remember him saying to me, Andy, never give up.
mm,
Never give up. And I was like, okay, okay. And he was like, no, look at me. Never give up. And
mm-hmm,
he just went on to say that. And I was kind of like, okay, I get it, Adam,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And that has come back to me time and again because I think that the difference between successful businesses and those that fail is people give up. They give
mm-hmm,
up too easily, and
mm-hmm,
they put something out into the world, whatever it is, a course, a
mm-hmm,
product, a service, and if it doesn't resonate right up front and
mm-hmm,
get the results or the sales that they're
mm-hmm,
looking for, they
mm-hmm,
either give up and trash the product or they give up altogether. And the reality is, it's probably not your product or your service or your course.
mm-hmm,
It's how you're presenting it.
mm-hmm,
It's how you're selling it. And that is where
mm-hmm,
the tenacity comes in, that you have to refine that approach as
mm-hmm,
many times as it
mm-hmm,
takes
mm-hmm,
to where you get it right. And you
mm-hmm,
are hearing people say yes, and they're connecting with your messaging. Your
Hmm.
sales message is not always going to be right. Rarely is it right the first time, and that's
Hmm.
okay. That's
Hmm. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
but don't give
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well, that's great advice. I call that the ability and propensity to learn. And my
Hmm.
definition of learning is being stimulated by new information or new insights and changing your behavior as a result.
Yeah.
And I think that continuous process of continually reflecting, and refining what you're doing over and over and over again until the thing gets right. That's what I mean, we're talking about the same thing here. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good stuff. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
Yes, so they can find my candle company at heartdesignco.com, which is HART, heartdesignco.com. And then my coaching business is my name. It's
Okay.
andeehart.com.
Okay.
Can find me at those websites or on Instagram as well.
Okay. And for your coaching business, I mean, you will work one-on-one with people, or is that basically what you're doing now?
I do. I
Hmm.
have a course that I teach my
Hmm.
automation sales process for
Hmm.
product makers that are looking to wholesale.
Hmm.
And then I also take a selective small few of one-on-one clients
Hmm.
because I do work personally one-on-one with them. I don't
Hmm.
have, I don't put my team in front of
Hmm.
them. And
Hmm.
so it's really important to me that they work with me. And so
Hmm.
there's only so much of my time. And so
Hmm.
I have an application process, but I do love to do one-on-one coaching. And you can find out more about that all on my website too. So
Okay. And do you have an email address that you want to let people know, or?
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
It is Andee, Andee,
Hmm.
Andee at Heart Design, or excuse me, let's do Andee at andeehart.com.
Okay. H-A-R-T or
H
H-E-A-R?
A H A R T,
Okay.
Andee at andeehart.com.
.com. Okay. Good. So that's it, guys. We're done. Bye bye.